Hello and welcome to today's edition of Political Voice. I am Chuka Adewale Chukudile. There's a lot happening in the political space in Nigeria, but we have two stories we're tracking today. First, we will discuss Labour Party's chairmanship tussle, and also we'll take a look at the PDP's crisis. And joining us here in the studio to discuss this is Mr. Dele Fanimo, a seasoned journalist, social and political analyst. Good evening, Mr. Dele, and nice to have you here with us.
Always my pleasure. Good evening.
And also virtually we have Mr. Nick Agule, a chartered accountant, oil and gas expert, and as well as a political analyst. Good evening, Mr. Nick. Nice to have you here with us. All right, Mr. Nick will be joining us along in the show. But before we go right into these stories, let's take a global overview of happenings around the world. Barack Obama is under fire for endorsing identity politics by supporting Kamala Harris. On Thursday, October 10, the former US president made his first appearance at a campaign rally to extend support to his Democratic mate, Harris, against the Republican candidate, Donald Trump, for the US election in 2024. In his speech, Obama urged the black man to back Harris by telling them that it is not acceptable that they feel hesitant to vote for the vice president on the basis of agenda, and asked them to show same enthusiasm for Harris' campaign as they did for his in 2008 and 2012. Calling out Barack Obama on his statement, the Black Men for Trump Advisory Board criticized him for promoting identity politics and stated that his endorsement is solely based on Harris' skin color and face rather than her policies, which is deeply insulting. The presidential candidate of the opposition National Democratic Congress, NDC, John Dramani Mahama, attributes the increasing number of Ghanaians turning to the NDC to the party's inclusive and non-discriminatory nature. In a post following a successful campaign in Charia, located in the Wa West constituency of the Upper West region, Mahama stated that the NDC is a progressive party that believes in unity and equity for all citizens of the nation. He observed that Charia, a community that has previously supported the governing New Patriotic Party, NPP, has now embraced Mahama's message of change. Mahama emphasized that the NDC does not discriminate based on origin or background, adding that the party is committed to national growth and development. We'll now go on a short break, and when we return, we'll get right into today's topic of discussion. Glad to have you back on Political Voice this evening. The national chairman of the Labour Party, Julius Abure, has dismissed the threats from the party's caretaker committee led by Nene D. Usman to appeal a recent court judgment affirming his leadership. Last week, the Federal High Court in Abuja declared the National Convention that reinstated Abure and its National Working Committee as valid. Despite this, the Usman-led caretaker committee, after discussions with the party's 2023 presidential candidates, Peter Obi, and Abure State Governor Alex Otti, announced plans to appeal the ruling. In a recent interview, the pro-Abure National Publicity Secretary, Obiora Ifo, stated that the Usman-led 29-member caretaker panel is not recognized by law and therefore lacks the standing to contest the court's decision. Ifo emphasized that the Abure-led NWC is unfazed by the appeal threats, noting that neither Obi nor the committee were parties to the original case. Mr. Fanimo, the Federal High Court in Abuja has affirmed the leadership of the Julius Abure-led NWC of the Labour Party. Where does this leave the Peter Obi and Nedi Usman caretaker committee? Where does this leave them now?
We had a discussion on this last week.
Yes, we did.
I remember that I said that Abure has just won a battle and not the war.
Not the war, yeah, yes.
And I also told you that the insistence of Abure could lead to sounding the death knell on Labour Party. Hanging on is futile, as you can see, because the train has left him since June 10th of this year.
Or he's been backed by the law because of the courts.
That's what I'm saying. You see, it's just like telling you you are the ruler, and if you don't have the rule, then you are not a ruler. It's like a general without a troop. He doesn't.
But then he has the backing of the courts.
I agree with you that he has the backing of the court, but the court, law was made for man, and not man for the law.
True.
So, this contestation is just because Peter Obi is in that party. Other parties like AA, APP, until recently when APP went to Rivers to clear the local government election, where was APP? Even SDP. You know? So, it was the only time Labour Party had a good showing in the past was when the former governor of Ondo State, Rama Mimiko, got that ticket from Labour Party when he was refused PDP ticket in 2011 or so.
Yeah, thereabouts, yeah.
Yeah. And now this time, I hope Abure will not stretch his luck too far.
How do you mean?
Because if push gets to shove, remove the obedience, remove Alex Otti, remove Peter Obi from Labour Party, what is left of it?
That will be a ghost of itself, yeah, true.
And even the few House of Representatives and Senate members of Labour Party, they are just waiting for their leaders to tell them the direction they should go. If Peter Obi leaves Labour Party today, it won't be more than 1 week or two before other political office holders having the ticket of Labour Party defecting to another political party, which is likely to host Peter Obi and the obedient.
But don't you think Abure has a card up his sleeve that he might play against this move? Don't you think it's possible?
What ace does he have? Is he going to remove? Is he going to stop them from going to another party?
There might be some incentives he might give to the members.
Where is what is the level of incentive Abure can give when you have a whole sitting governor who controls the apparatus of the state, who controls the finances of the state, who has security votes that runs to several hundreds of millions of naira monthly, compared to Abure? What is Abure's antecedent before he became party chairman? And what has been his stride? It's not on the radar of people that are of means in Nigeria. So how does he placate those people that you consider as people that may want to leave the party? Can he fix Peter Obi? He cannot even fix Aisha Yusuf. Not to talk of Peter Obi. Is he going to fix Alex Otti, a sitting governor, or members of House of Representatives that had collected 160 million naira car, and they have oversight functions that they can make several hundreds of millions of naira, and constituency allowance on and on like that.
But there are some insinuations from some parts, from some quarters that say that Abure is being backed by the presidency. Yeah, even though it's speculative, it's not confirmed. But there are some, from some certain quarters, those are the things being said. And if that is true, then it's very likely that the presidency can give him all the backing he needs to destabilize the party even more. This
is just conspiracy theory. It's neither here nor there. How do you justify that statement? You don't have any evidence at all to show that the presidency or president is behind Abure. That may be false narrative at the end of the day. You see, the important thing is Abure should just not overstretch his luck in this game. And the only way you can do that is to probably have a political solution to this logjam. It's a logjam. And as long as Abure insists on sitting on that chair, it will be difficult to reconcile the groups. And if it is difficult, these people will live in droves, and Labour Party will be left high and dry.
Talking about political solutions, what solutions do you think should be on his card, on his table right now? What do you think Abure should be thinking or working towards right now at the moment?
Abure, in seeking political solution, should have a one-on-one meeting with Peter Obi, and maybe subsequently have another one with Alex Otti. Those are the people that own that party today, in the real sense of owning a political party in Nigeria today. They are the two. And whatever direction they want to go, Abure has no choice other than to follow them, except he wants to sink.
Mr. Dile, I want to get one thing clear. Sorry. Now that the court has said, the Abuja High Court has said, Abure is technically the chairman of the party.
He has been pronounced the chairman.
So now you're saying he needs to, have a conversation with Peter Obi, and then what if the conversation ends up being that Abure should step down? What happens to the court judgment that is in his behalf?
If he decides to step down, court will not do anything. It's still an internal mechanism to resolve their crisis. If he decides to step down, what makes you think that if he decides to step down without too much wrangling, that they cannot even prop him up for the next convention of the party that will be midwife by Nenadi Usman's caretaker committee? So, but as it is now, some people will be emboldening him and make him flex muscles, but I don't know how far he can go.
I think we have Mr. Nick on the line with us. Mr. Nick, if you're on the line, can we get to hear you? Good afternoon. How are you, sir?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
And good evening to our viewers.
Good evening to you, sir. You've been following the topic of discussion so far, have you, sir?
Well, I was struggling to get on to actually log on. There was no audio on my computer, okay. So I just connected on my phone.
Okay.
But I guess it's the Labour Party leadership crisis that has been discussed.
Exactly. So I have a question for you. Based on the Nenadi Usman caretaker committee deciding to challenge the Federal High Court's decision before an appeal court, do you think they have the local standing to do that, based on the fact that the court does not actually recognize them? What's your take on that?
Well, I think if I look at the facts of the case, I think the case is between the Labour Party and INEC. So, Labour Party is a body corporate. It can only be represented by human beings. So, the acting caretaker National Working Committee of the party now, or the caretaker committee, the question is whether they can be recognized as representing the Labour Party. But it's the courts. The lawyers are going to earn their money, and the judges are going to adjudicate. For us, Nigerians, and those who are stakeholders in this country, it's a matter of concern to us that the main opposition parties who should be applying the required pressure on the party in government, the APC. And when I mean the main opposition parties, I'm referring to the Labour Party that we're discussing about now, and the People's Democratic Party, PDP. These two parties have not stepped up to the plate to act as true opposition parties, which is a necessary ingredient in a democracy. This is why, for like the parliamentary system of government in the UK, is the government that pays people to be in opposition, so that they can apply the necessary pressure on those who are in office to deliver good governance. But unfortunately, in Nigeria, the Labour Party is in disarray. The PDP is in disarray. Some of these issues may be internal politics within them, but some of them may be external. Because let's not forget that so long as the opposition parties, the PDP and the Labour Party, are weakened, the stronger the chances of the APC, the party in government, to win the elections in 2027. So they are a party in government. If there's an accusation that is made against them, that they have a hand in the internal wranglings and distortion within these two major parties, there could be a currency to that kind of allegation, even though we don't know the details. So it now behoves on the PDP and the Labour Party to sheath their sword and come together, knowing that they are being divided from external forces, and it's in their interest to unite so that Nigerians can rely on them to form a formidable opposition to the party in power, and that is the surest way of delivering good governance to the long-suffering people of Nigeria.
Talking about forming a formidable party, Mr. Abure, what do you think? Do you think it's possible for the PDP and the Labour Party to have a merger come against 2027? Because from the look of things, it's very possible that both parties are going to be going to that election independently. But do you think it's possible for the two parties to come together as a merger? What do you?
In politics, everything is possible in politics. From my understanding of politics as I've come to see it, you never say never when it comes to politics. Let's not forget that between incumbent President Tinubu and former President Buhari, there was no love between the two. And it was impossible to see that an alliance can be possible. But it happened. And President Buhari, under the banner of the new party, the APC, got into office, and now President Tinubu is in office. So, on a general basis, it will serve to say that it will help the Labour Party and the PDP greatly if they can join forces, and together with some other minority parties like the NMPP of Kwankwaso, plus any other minority parties. It's the only way that if they want to dislodge the incumbent government that they can succeed. Because let's not forget that from 1999, when we started the Fourth Republic, to 2015, President Bola Tinubu's party and President Buhari's party.
2 clear years left. And Nigeria is a country of anything is possible.
Anything can happen.
So let's wait and see.
Okay, fair enough. Moving on to our second topic of discussion. The internal crisis within the People's Democratic Party, PDP, escalated yesterday as Ahmed Yayari Mohammed, the party's national treasurer, announced his assumption of duties as acting national chairman. Although he is yet to make an appearance at the party's national headquarters in Abuja, Mohammed confirmed through a public statement that he has taken over following backing from a faction within the National Working Committee, NWC. Defying a recent Abuja High Court ruling that restrains any party faction from removing acting national chairman Ambassador Umar Damagum Mohammed declared his commitment to fulfilling the duties of his new position. The court order issued to uphold Damagum's leadership until his tenure ends December next year was seemingly disregarded in this power struggle. Further heightening the tension, Mohammed announced the opening of applications for the position of national chairman, specifically seeking candidates from the North Central Zone, as the former chairman, Senator Iriocha Ayu, hails from Benue State in the region. The party's crisis intensified on Thursday when the NWC suspended National Legal Advisor Kamaldeen Ajibade and National Publicity Secretary Debo Ologunagba. Beg your pardon. Shortly after, both suspended officials countered by declaring that Damagun and National Secretary Samuel Ayawu had been removed from their post and that Yayari Mohammed was now appointed acting chairman. Mr. Fanimo, what's the validity of the Abuja High Court's judgment as regards restraining any party faction from removing the current acting national chairman? Do you think the court has that power to make such a declaration?
What was the extent of the judgment and when it was supposed to last? This is an internal matter within the PDP. You understand? The court cannot force a chairman on the political party. You understand? And I'm sure that the other faction of the PDP, because already it's clear with the declaration of Yayari as the new chairman, it's clear that there's a division in PDP, there's a faction. Because some people that are loyal to Damagum will still follow him and still consider him as the chairman of the party. And then Yayali group also, and this afternoon, he went to the National Secretariat and to declare that he is the rightful person that should sit on that seat. So it's the backlash of this. And one thing that is a political party, remove the national chairman. And even when he had been suspended earlier on, that's Debo Ologun Agba. Don't you think that is inconsistent?
But they're members of the NWC, and they have the powers to.
Damagu had already removed him, suspended him. So on what tripod is he standing to now remove Damagu? That's the question you ask. But in all of this, in the final analysis, there is trouble within PDP. And the ruling party will profit maximally from this crisis. Because if you look at what is going on now, there is always this tilting towards the support of APC, although it's not been confirmed, but there are indications that these people, they are really, really working towards that answer. And I don't see PDP extricating himself from this, what the Christians will call Armageddon. Because it's going to consume that party and the long run. When you have a fragmented party contesting power with a strong, formidable ruling party, it doesn't work. That's why, for me, I feel that the olive branch extended to Peter Obi by Kwakwaso of NNPP should be a working document towards consolidating a new mega party that will work assiduously to rest and to give money for this administration.
Or a new mega party might not have the time to have structures in all the states in 2 years. It takes a lot to be.
That's not true. That's not true. You see, what is in the structure?
The people actually the structure. The people.
How many years did it take APC to have structures in the states?
Well,
you are coalescing political parties that had been in existence. All you need to do is, if LP and NMPP, if they are coming together, where the Labour Party is strong, you collapse NPP. Where the NPP is strong, you collapse Labour Party, and then this existing structure will be built upon, and then you have a structure in states and even in local governments and wards. So, does it take rocket science? For how long do you think it can happen? In 3-6 months. These are people that are experienced politicians.
Exactly.
And so they know how to do their structuring and restructuring. It doesn't take time.
Okay, exactly. But then you look at it that this is Nigeria, whereby politics is not just it takes a lot for you to get to the presidency. It takes a lot of calculations. It takes a lot of hard work. It takes years of preparation. So expecting it to happen under 2 years, which might be one of the issues that Labour Party had last in 2023. Labour Party came up, Peter Obi, and how many months wanted to take over become president. But it was a big battle for them, and that's why they came third. Because elections in Nigeria, it's predominantly about how prepared are you, how calculative are you.
You see, the fact that Peter Obi came in less than 4 months, maybe 5 months, to have that showing, that clearly had defeated that question you posed, that will be 2 years be enough for a political party. If in 4 months, Peter had that showing at the polls, then you can now imagine if there is a coalition of forces working to dislodge this present government. It doesn't take 6 months, not even a year, for them to achieve that. And you see, one of the signs you begin to see when a governor or a president is going out of the office, one, you see that his policies will not sit well with the masses. Mm-hmm. And when you don't have policies that sit well with the masses, then there will be backlash from the masses. So a politician once told me that if you begin to see the masses pelting a governor in office with pure water and eggs, raw eggs, then it's a sign that governor should be packing his bags. But if you don't have that, it could be just a political maneuvering that may not really work. Buhari was, if not for the cult followership of Buhari in the north, which President Tinubu benefited immensely from, honestly, the result would have been different. You understand? And Peter Obi was coming to that election at the risk of being questioned, I would say, as a new fight at that level. Otherwise, he left some gaps that he needed to take care of, that he failed to take care of. That's why it was very easy for Tinubu to cash in on some of those gaps. And the rest, they say, is history.
So in other words, are you saying he made a political mistake by coming out 2023? Is that what you're saying?
No, I said because he was a stranger to that big field. If you are playing 5-a-side, you could be a master dribbler and you would achieve so much. But when you now go to a standard football field where it's teamwork, not your dribbling ability, it's a different ball game. You understand? The fact that Peter won in Anambra and he also won through the court and all that, and he did very well. It is not enough when you want to. He left certain areas of the country that really mattered at that time, and he was concentrating on where he was stronger than the other political parties. So, and when you leave that, sometimes you have to leave your home to go and sort out things outside of your home. And once you are comfortable with that, when you are coming back home, you only come back to consolidate. That was the only thing. Otherwise, Peter would have won that election.
Okay. Mr. Nick, are you with us?
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay. I have a question for you, sir. Mr. Delefanimo has just told us about apparently you were listening to him and you hear what he said. What do you think about Peter Obi? Now we're going back to Peter Obi and the PDP. What do you think about Peter Obi coming back to the PDP in 2020, getting power back from the APC in 2027? What's your take on that, sir?
Okay, did you say Peter Obi going back to PDP?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
So when it comes to politics, anything can happen. In politics, anything can happen. politicians, as they say, for them, it's about interest and not any other thing. So long as their interest is served, anything can happen. Let's not forget that someone like Atiku Abubakar, he was in the PDP with former President Obasanjo. He left the PDP, went to the APC, left the APC, came back to the PDP, where he is now, you know. So you can never, with politicians, ever say this is impossible, that is not going to happen. So it's about their calculations and their interest. So as 2027 nears, you are going to see all the politicking and the games on the chessboard. So I cannot sit here and say I'm ruling out anything. Peter Obi can go to PDP if he wants to, but of course that will be if Atiku Abubakar decides that he is either going to step down his ambition to be Nigeria's president, or he moves on to another party. But again, whether Peter Obi can move with PDP and become a vice presidential candidate to Atiku Abubakar, that was on the table in the 2023 election, but obviously he didn't want it, he didn't take it, and that's why he now left and went to the Labour Party. Can he go back now and take it? You will never know. Politicians, they do anything and they can always find a justification for it. So if he goes back and becomes a vice presidential candidate to Atiku, he can tell you that he had to sacrifice his mission so that they can remove the government in power, you know, things like that. They can say all sorts of things, you know. So I would say that the permutations are just beginning, and the next few months and years will be quite interesting to see where we land in 2027.
Okay, Mr. Nick, the current new acting chairman of the PDP, Alhaji Mohammed, has called for the North Central Zone to present candidates to replace the SY chairman, Ayu, who is also from the North Central Benue State. Who among the frontrunners, who among the candidates do you think, and your opinion, should be chairman of the PDP after the next because I think there's going to be a NEC meeting in the next couple of weeks, and that's where they're going to who do you think among the PDP party faithfuls should be considered for that office?
Well, up until recently, the names of two candidates were out there, which is former Governor Gabriel Suswam of
Benue. I think we've lost
Benue. Okay. And then hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go on, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go on. Go ahead.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is that up until recently, it is the names of these two candidates that were in the fray. But in the past one or
you only mentioned Gabriel Suswam. What's the second name you mentioned?
Yeah, so Gabriel Suswam, former Governor Gabriel Suswam, and then Conrad Utan, who is also a PDP member. He's also from Benue State. And in the last 1 or 2 days, I have also been hearing about the name of David Mark, also coming into the fray. If you put all this together, let's say 3 of them, you say who should take the job, I would think that Suswam is in a better position to take the job. Suswam is the man that has that political machinery and the political, should I say, I don't want to use a word like sagacity or anything. I'm looking for a simpler word, a political capacity or something like that, to be able to bring the party together. And Suswam is capable of building bridges, even though he himself is facing opposition right at home, because himself and former Governor Samuel Otom, they are not in the same camp. We also know from Otom's antecedents that as far back as 2023, last year, when President Tinubu was only a few months in office, where we didn't even know the shape of his government and the policies that he will execute. Governor Oton was already saying that his candidate for presidential election in 2027 is President Tinubu. So for a chieftain of a party in the PDP endorsing a presidential candidate on a different party platform is to tell you the kind of situation that is happening in the PDP. So the likes of Governor Otom, former Governor Wike, and all of that, they are acting as if they would like PDP to remain in crisis. And it's understandable because the more crisis the PDP and the Labour Party have, the better the chances of the APC, whom they support, their presidential candidate, have in 2027. So I would say Suswam is definitely the leading candidate. He should be given the job. He is the man who will rebuild the PDP. He is the man who should take PDP into the next presidential election.
Mr. Delfanimo, do you think the same? Do you think the same about former Governor Gabriel Suswan? Do you see him being a capable chairman for the PDP in this time of crisis? Some other parties, some other schools will tell you Bukola Saraki as well is somebody who might make a good chairman. But then I think there's also a linkage towards Saraki towards the 2027 election. That is, if Atiku does not come out president, it's being touted that Dr. Bukola Saraki might be the one to be given the nod to fly the party's ticket. But if that doesn't happen, do you see Saraki and Suswan as people who you think should handle the party?
The whole thing still depends on where the presidential candidate is coming from. If the presidential candidate is coming from the North Central, you can't have the national chairman coming from the North Central.
But we had it in the last. PDP had it in their 20.
That was an aberration.
And then Atiku
it was Atiku's insistence, and it cost them a lot during the election because Wike became what he is today because of that unholy alliance between Northeast and Northeast being chairman and presidential candidate. And he rode on the crest of that formula that came up to get sympathies from the South over the arrangement by PDP. So I'm not too sure PDP would be naive to toe that line at this time. So you're talking about Otom, you're talking about David Mark, you're talking about Saraki. These three men are from the South.
Otom is in the APC right now, I think.
No, I'm just telling you in case he comes back.
Okay.
Now, what you are seeing is all of them are from North Central. And you can't have the national chairman of the party from the same zone as well as the presidential candidate of the party coming from the same zone. That was why Wike, in anticipation of that, was going to make it to the presidential candidacy of PDP, went for the jugular of Secondus. Because Secondus is from the same region with him, and they wouldn't want anybody to use that against him in the build-up to the convention that would make him emerge as the candidate of PDP. That's why I had to drop Secondus. And so anybody that is ambitious in the Northwest for PDP would be naive to want to repeat that same thing that cost PDP. The exit of Peter Obi, the cantankerous attitude of Wike was as a result of that. You understand? So I'm not too sure if they want to go that route, except they decided to sell their hearts to perdition.
But then, shouldn't it be more about competency than about the zoning arrangement in this case? Because you can have the chairman from the South, and then the best candidate at that moment is also from the South. What happens in this? I mean, will you say because the chairman is from the South, we cannot give it to this guy who is the best candidate, all because he's from the South? We'll now give it to somebody who might not.
There are two ways to look at this. One, if you want to go by equity, fair play. It will be analogous for PDP, for the state, the chairman of a party to come from one zone and then the candidate to come from one zone. Are you telling me that there are no better people in the other zones that could form? And if you are going to practice inclusive politics, you can't have that and get away with it. It has to be inclusive. More so, the ground norm of this country today, which is the Constitution, recognizes federal character, recognizes quota system. And so if you are borrowing from that as part of your narrative, you will now know that it will be too lopsided for you to have chairman, candidate, presidential candidate from the same zone. And then what are you going to tell the other people? You are just telling them indirectly that you guys are not qualified. You don't have quality people around you that can make a whole lot of difference in the final analysis. So it won't work.
Maybe
it's not a written rule, you know.
It's not a written rule.
It's a convention. You understand? And that's why Atiku was brazen to ride roughshod on the likes of Wike and Peter Obi to find himself, because he felt that it is birthright.
Mr. Nick, are you with us, sir?
Yes.
All right, I have one more last question for you, sir. The PDP is in crisis right now. Do you see any respite for them in the nearest future?
Sorry, come back again with your question.
The PDP is in crisis at the moment. Do you see any respite for them?
Well, the respite for the PDP lies with the PDP. It depends on if the protagonists within the PDP decide that for the benefit of the party and for the benefit of Nigerians, because of effective opposition they will need to provide, that they want to sheath their swords, they want to come together, they want to eschew any bitterness, and they want to work for a common purpose. It's the only way that they are going to be able to have any hope that they are going to gain any traction in the political space in Nigeria. I know, like I said, that the likes of former Governor Wike, former Governor Otom, and all of that, the way they are acting and conducting themselves, it is very clear that they want the death of PDP, you know, and that is why they are going to court to obtain all sorts of court rulings. Because just imagine that Damagun is an acting chairman. How can a court pass a ruling that an acting chairman cannot be removed from his position? Does that make sense? He's acting. Why is he acting? Because the substantive chairman is not on seat. So how does he now make you look as if he has a tenure? When did, under law or any good conduct, do people in acting capacity have tenure? You know, it is only those who are in substantive positions that have tenure. But a federal high court is determining that an acting chairman must not be removed until 2025, as if he has a tenure. But we know that federal courts in Abuja are giving all sorts of judgment because former Governor Wike is the minister of the Federal Capital Territory. And the Nigerian judiciary, as everybody knows, is probably corrupt. So they are obtaining this judgment, but I tell everybody that you see this Nigeria that everybody is playing Ludo with. The day of reckoning may come where all of us will have to answer for our sins. And for people who are like judges, who all their lives have sworn on oath and have worked in courts to turn around and be giving this kind of judgment, either conflicting judgments by courts of concurrent jurisdiction and all of that. It's a shame. And the world is watching us dribble ourselves and calling ourselves a democracy. I'm Nick Agule sitting here. I'm wearing my black suit, but I can go and sew a Major General's uniform and wear it. I can call myself a Major General, but everybody knows that I'm not a Major General. So we can continue to call ourselves a democracy, whereas we are not doing anything democracy at all. Because democracy assures of the independence of the judicial arm of government. We're not seeing that in Nigeria. So the PDP, we have to identify their internal insurrectionists and have to find a way to push them out of the party so that the party can have fresh air to look ahead towards 2027.
Thank you. Mr. Delifanimo, same question for you. PDP, do you see any respite for them?
Well, whatever is happening to PDP is still an internal crisis. And the gladiators within the PDP are not neophytes. They understand the game. And some of them started this republic with PDP. And so they know how to handle some of these issues around them. And I hope and I feel that for the sake of the nation, they should come together. There's nothing impossible when it comes to negotiation. It depends on your ability and your large heart to assume and to concede
And
accommodate, So for me, nothing is impossible. We have seen crises of monumental dimension that have been resolved on the table.
True.
Countries go to war, they still come back to resolve this on the table. So for me, there is nothing impossible in reconciliation.
So thank you so much for coming on the show, Mr. Delifanimo. Thank you for being here with us today.
Always my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
And Mr. Nick Agule as well. Thank you for being on the show with us today, sir.
Thank you so much, and good evening to our viewers.
This is all we can take on Political Voice today. Political Voice will return tomorrow, same time. I am Chuka Adewale Chukudile. Good evening.